Wednesday, 12 o'clock here in Colorado Mountain Standard Time. My name is Tia Huntsberger, and I'm a senior designer at Closet Factory in Colorado. This is our monthly show called Designed for Organization. Today, I'm so excited to be introducing you to my new partner in crime for this show. Her name is Keli, and I'm going to bring Keli on here, and she's going to join me, and you are going to get to meet her. Well, Keli, welcome. Happy Wednesday. Thanks for joining me here on Designed for Organization. Before we get into things, Keli, will you introduce yourself and just tell our watchers a little bit about you and what it is that you specialize in?
Absolutely, and thank you, Tia, for having me. I'm so excited about the opportunity, and I've really enjoyed getting to know you so far. So I'm Keli Jekyll, and I have Organized by Keli and Company, and we have been in business going on 3 years now, and it's pretty exciting because I feel like we fit so well with what you do because it's kind of a nice sandwich. We can come in and take everything out of the space, declutter, help the client determine what needs to stay, what needs to go. And then you can build this amazing closet. I know we're talking closets today, but the structure piece of it, and then we can come back and detail it out, make it beautiful. So that's an exciting piece for us. A little bit about me, just in general. I'm a former educator, and I taught bilingual ed for a little while, and then I was a school administrator. Had an illness, came back from my illness a few years back, feeling much better, and started organizing, thinking that's my gift. That's what I do. I can help people in that way. And I thought maybe 10 hours a week I could help people in their homes. And now here we are. I have 6 employees, a big team, and we're just doing all we can to help people live their best life, get organized, and move forward in the way they want to be.
Yeah, so that's our subject for today, Keli. And when you and I talked the other day, we talked about living your best life, and you had said making time for what matters most, right? Which I love closets, but there's a lot of things in the world I want to be doing other than spending time in my closet. And a great organized closet is going to help me to be able to have more, time and more space in my world for other things. So live your best life. Keli, tell me a little bit about kind of what that means to you and your team.
Sure, absolutely. I think it can be a little bit cliche when you hear the term often, but if you really just peel it back a little bit, it's about aligning your vision of how you want your life to be with your reality of how your life is. And when you can pull those two together, find the gratitude in everything that's there, I believe that's how you live your best life. And time it's valuable. There was a time when there was no money in the 50s, and now there's a time here in our current space where there's money, but there's no time. And so I think a lot of times, did I break out?
For a sec, yep.
Okay. But we're all so busy that making that vision a reality is really difficult. And so that's our vision. We just want to come alongside busy people trying everything to live this life that they envisioned, and they find themselves so busy that they can't get out the door to take the bike ride, or they're stressed out because they can't find what they're looking for in their closet to get ready in the morning, all those little things. And so just coming alongside people and helping them pull all of that together so they can move forward in the best way.
Absolutely. I think that, you can help people with their stuff, and I can help people with a place to put their stuff.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So, Keli, let's talk a little bit about kind of how our closets can kind of, our closet needs might have changed over the last year. I know COVID has impacted wardrobe for a lot of people that maybe aren't going out of the house for work or going out of the house less often. What are your thoughts around that?
We see it a lot right now. We're in homes and clients will have all the suits that maybe I think it depends on the lifestyle and the career, but for a lot of people, it seems like suits were kind of, especially here in Colorado, making their way out a little bit. And now COVID hit, we all got so comfortable in our, dressed up on top and pajamas on the bottom.
Right.
Let me tell you, I have been known to make it places in my slippers more times than one. Just habit at this point. But the closet has all of these dress clothes, professional clothes that now clients are working from home, or even when going back into the office. We're hearing it more and more that the dress code has changed just even slightly, but it can leave a closet filled with extra decisions.
For
It
sure.
can leave the closet filled with, oh my goodness, I have all these things I should be wearing, but I'm not, or maybe they don't fit. That's another thing we can talk about. But so that style has changed a little bit, and just getting really present with what clothing do you actually need right now to do your job and do it well, or to do your life and do it well. And that may look very different.
Yeah, and I think that's a great point when you talk about like less decisions, right? So someone may not be ready to get rid of all of their suits, but maybe they're ready to pare down from 20 suits to a dozen suits, right? So get rid of those. Or the other option to that is if they're not ready to get rid of all their suits, what if it, gets boxed up and we put it in the attic for a few months until we're ready to let it go, or I build some great storage in the garage where they can put some bins and store things out of the way. I think that having that mind fatigue of the brain in the morning is amazing for our day. I think you and I talked about like the time of the day. You had some facts and figures around the time of the day that our brain works at its best. Can you share that with me again, Kelly?
Sure, sure. So I have a little visual here somewhere. Let me see if I can pull it out. I should have had it ready. Ah, I do. I did have it ready. Here it is. But this is from a productivity training that my team and I did. And it's this silly little visual right here. This is a brain.
Okay.
And this shows your time of day, like your primary task 1, 2, and 3 that you want to be sure to accomplish. And you have 95% of your brain power probably for this primary task number 1. And then you have about 75%. And then down here, you're down to 50%. And the point being right here that we're making decisions all day long and we're tackling important things about our lives all day long. And so we need to save that brain power, especially as we're aging and all those fun things. We need to save that brain power for in the morning so we can really accomplish what's actually important to us. And the more decisions that we're having to make in the morning, the more it's depleting that brain power that we have to go through the day, because decision fatigue is very real. And so if you get up in the morning, you're getting ready, you go to the closet, you have all of these options, and then you're like having to think through, oh, but I don't need this. Oh, but this doesn't fit. Oh, I don't like this one anymore. Oh, this, oh, this, oh, this. And so moving forward, it's really helpful. It's really better to have fewer decisions to make in the morning and get that closet down to, oh, these are my work clothes. All of these work. I love them. I can pick anything. And you hit the closet and you're like, what do I want today? The decision becomes red or green or whatever it might be,
right.
As opposed to all those extra little pieces getting through.
I think that from that perspective, it almost makes me mad if I have to, expend all this brain power on things. Like I want to use the brain power on the things that I need and want to, not on, frivolous things. I often joke with my clients, but when I joke, I'm being very serious. We have something that we can add to people's closets and built-ins called a valet rod. and it's a temporary hanging space that comes out. And I joke, but I'm really serious that ballet rod helps me sleep better, because I'm somebody, I've traditionally always been somebody, I'm not really a morning person. So I like to lay out my wardrobe for the day the night before. And so I hang everything out, what I need for the morning. And now you've taught me that I'm giving myself more brain power for my work day by taking that time at night and getting things sorted out, because I'm not making decisions. My decision is, am I putting dark pink or light pink lipstick on? That's about it, right?
Yes.
I don't have to worry about what dress and what undergarments I need and what shoes match and what sweater, is it hot or cold, like all of that goes on, especially this time of year in Colorado. You got to figure out your layers for the day and all of that. So what you're telling me is that ballet rod helps me sleep better, and it helps my brain work better in the morning. I'm so excited.
Yes, yes. I think everyone needs a ballet rod, something,
Yes,
so that you can just, eliminate that decision in the morning. And when you have some decision fatigue at night, it's more of a mindless thing at that point, looking for what you're going to wear. It can be kind of fun, whatever. I personally don't do it because I wear almost the same thing every single day of my life. Anyone that knows me can say, yep, that's true. This black hoodie, I have it on all the time, but it eliminates decisions for me.
right.
I just know that I'm going to be this organizing ninja wearing black, and I just have my black things to choose from and move on. And it simplifies, because it stresses me out to try to come up with the cute outfit and all the little matching pieces. I love it when people do it. It's just a stress point for me that I've chosen not to do.
Well, and you can occasionally have a fun day where you get to do some of those things, but you don't have a need to do that every day, which is great.
Right.
So, Kelly, a minute ago you mentioned weight changes. Let's talk about what to do, like weight changes. It happens.
It happens. Absolutely happens.
Age, whether that's because people are having children, because life and job and exercise changes, hormones change, whatever it is, weight changes, and then so does the wardrobe that goes along with that. Tell us your thoughts on how to deal with that in our closet.
Well, unfortunately, I'm an expert in that area because I fluctuate all the time. But it gives me some tips and tricks, because I find that a lot of clients struggle with the same thing. And for whatever reason, I've never really studied it out, but for whatever reason, always the clothes that are larger sized, they are so easy to let go of. It's like, oh, yeah, I didn't love that anyway. Get it out of here, no problem. But it's all the skinny jeans and the skinny clothes. Nobody wants to let go of the skinny clothes. And I get it, totally get it. But then what can happen is your closet is filled with guilt and shame, because now you're digging through, you're trying to find what you want to wear in the morning, and it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit, it doesn't fit. Oh, I got to do better. Oh, I gotta. That is not living your best life. That is not a fun way to start the day.
No.
Nobody needs that extra burden to start the day. So in COVID, I think a lot of people have run into this, finding themselves, oh my gosh, now I have this closet of clothing that doesn't fit. What do I do? So here's what I say. If you absolutely love some items, and they're your skinny clothes or not your skinny clothes, whatever, but they don't fit right now, but you absolutely love them, you feel amazing wearing them, box those up. Put them to the side so they're not in that range of decisions that you're making in the morning, but the option is still there should I lose the weight and be ready to wear them again. So you don't have to get rid of them forever necessarily, but you don't want them in that little set for your everyday decision making. And I want to go back to one other thing you said a minute ago, Tia, about the storing maybe some suits or things that don't apply right now. If you absolutely love them and feel amazing in them, I think those get stored one way. Then there are other things that I might need it. I'm not sure I'm going to need it, but I hate to let go of it. It would be expensive to replace. Maybe I don't need 20 suits. I only need 12. So these other 8, what if things change in the next year? Like we're got to be prepared for some change, right? My recommendation for those items, box them up and put a date on the box. If you haven't gotten into that box by that date, don't even open it. That box just goes to donation. You're done. No decision making, no guilt, no nothing. If you end up needing it, guess what? You know where the box is. Go get it out. I find that a lot of clients never touch those dated boxes, and they're so happy to let go of them later on. Sometimes they even let go of them before the date. You know, some people want to put a 2-year date, some people 6 months. It doesn't matter, it's irrelevant. Just that there's a date that you're giving yourself a little leeway before you commit to that decision of letting go.
Yeah, and I think that's so great because if you're somebody that it's easy to get rid of things, you put a date that's maybe a couple months and then you're ready to let it go. If you're somebody that has a harder time getting rid of things, you can put a longer date, get them out of the closet, but you've taken out that decision fatigue. You get them out of the space, but if you're a person that has a hard time letting go, they're safe. They're in the basement, they're in the garage, wherever that storage space is, and you have them if you need them, but they're not in your mind space
Absolutely.
every day.
Yeah, absolutely.
So one of my notes when we were talking the other day that you mentioned, Kelly, was micro versus macro. Let's talk through that term that you use, what that means, and how that applies to our closets.
Absolutely. I think that goes a lot with personalities. And for some people to feel like they're organized and in control and have everything managed, they have this need for micro organization. Everything categorized, color coded, matching hangers, socks folded, underwear folded, everything aligned. For other people, it might mean that just having all the clothing in the closet and the dresser, macro, right? Shirts are with shirts, great. That can work. And I think a lot of times people feel pressured to have a Pinterest-worthy dresser or a Pinterest-worthy closet, whereas if that inspires you, I say do it. If that stresses you out because you feel like, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to maintain this? I don't know where everything goes. Then it's probably not for you, and that's okay. So I think that's one big piece of macro versus micro organizing. I tend to be this type of person that, like my closet, I don't keep the doors on it. And so my closet, it's pretty micro organized for the most part. I've done the matching hangers and I have all my blacks from, long sleeve to short sleeve, everything aligned in that way. But then you hit my drawers and I'm not going to fold my pajamas personally because that's too detailed for me in that space. I feel great if I just keep them washed, pull them out of the dryer, and I just toss them right in the drawer. Same with socks. I keep all pretty much matching socks. All of my socks are about the same. I don't pair them. I don't buy any of my kids different kinds of socks. My son has Nike basketball tube socks, all black. That's it. So there's never a need to pair them. They just all dump into the sock drawer. Right. So that's a little more macro, and I think people are sometimes surprised that I'm an organizer and I don't have all the socks rolled and placed. But for
yeah, and when we talk about what making time for what matters most, you've chosen not to take the time to roll the socks for you have a big family with lots of kiddos, right?
Right.
And so taking that time, forget rolling socks for kids, let's just get them in the right room, in the right drawer.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
I love that. So Kelly, let's talk about macro versus micro when it comes to couples. And I actually had a conversation with a client this morning about that. What's your recommendation when one person likes one option and the other person likes the other, but they have to share a space? What's your tip?
So we do run into this, and typically I highly encourage. Typically it's the wife, the spouse that will reach out to us, the female, and she wants her husband's space to be something different than what it is. And I always recommend, let's start with her space and see if that inspires him to want his space different. But what I've found is we have to stay in our own lane.
For sure.
It rarely works out well to turn and say to your spouse, you need to organize in this manner, because their brain thinks differently. And sometimes they'll see the possibility, they'll see the vision of, oh, this is how it could be. And they're like, oh my gosh, I want mine too. Like, that happens a lot. But if there's not that buy-in from his side, I think just learning how to put some boundaries in the space to where she's managing hers and he's managing his, or vice versa. It can be vice versa. It's just not as typical, right? So just really being certain that we don't try to change other people and yet find ways for us to function at our best inside of the space.
Yeah, so my client this morning, she's got a big master closet and she wants doors on all of her hanging sections. And part of it is because how she likes to organize and how her husband likes to organize are different. And so she can get her husband to put his stuff behind the doors, and then she doesn't care what it looks like. It doesn't need to be color coded. It doesn't need to be neatly stacked because it's behind a pretty door and it's all covered. And I love the fact that, you know, she also shared that like he'll leave things scattered around the house, and she's like, I take 10 minutes every morning, I scoop his stuff up, I have 3 places I put it, and I'm done. If he can't find anything, it's in one of those 3 places. And I loved it because she's got this system. It's only 10 minutes a day that she spends. She's still able to live her best life with that 10 minutes fit in the day, because it opens up the space for her and takes the, you know, the mind fatigue, the mind clutter out of the space for her. And so they've found a system that really works well for the two of them.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's awesome. And I totally agree with you about the doors. Like, that's another way to just find the boundaries, find the things so that you can continue to function and do well. Another piece of that is, I think we might have talked about this a little bit, but it's that space for not clean, not dirty in the bedroom.
Yes, when you told me about not clean, not dirty, that was like a whole new world to me. I'm like, and I used that term with a client the other day. I'm like, you need a space for not clean, not dirty. So tell us what that is and what your thoughts are about that.
So I think that plays a big part in what we were just talking about, like in a master bedroom, right? So anytime you have clutter, it's a delayed decision every time. And so when you think about a bedroom and these issues that couples often have, it's about clothing and other things that are laying around. It's clutter. And what happens with clothing is we all do it. You wear something and maybe you wear it for half an hour. Maybe you wear it for a full day, whatever it is, but it's not clean, it's not dirty. And so you are in a space where you don't want to put it in the dirty clothes because it's really not that dirty, but yet hanging it back up in the closet just seems wrong because it's not clean.
Yeah.
And so I have a little rack. It's actually like a quilting rack to hold blankets and quilts in my bedroom. That's where it goes. Some people, it goes on their elliptical or their exercise machine. I don't recommend that strategy, but having a space, something where it can just lay over the edge. It's not clean, it's not dirty, and then you can pick it up and rewear it in the next few days, or you can not. Sorry, my dogs. But you can wear it or not. And then typically what happens at my house is my husband puts all of his clothes on the not clean, not dirty. And then 4 or 5 days later, I come along and scoop them all into the dirty clothes. We start over again. But it gives them a home so that they're not on the floor taking up space for anyone. They're not that visual clutter that's distracting your space, all those good things.
Yeah, and you know, this client of mine that I was dealing with a couple months ago had a similar situation where she's like, I have this chair in my bedroom and I throw stuff on there because I wore it, but it's not really dirty. And so for her, we created 2 things: a little countertop space above some drawers where she could fold something up and set it when it's not clean, not dirty. And we also did that with one of the valet rods I was talking about earlier, where it's a temporary place. She can pull out, she can hang a few things there. I think I shared with you that sometimes I'll get up on Sunday morning, I'll put an outfit on, I'll go to church, I'll have it on for 2 hours. It's definitely not clean, but it's definitely not dirty. So that's a great place for me to put something, and then that will work into my wardrobe. It'll usually be one of my work outfits later in the week. So I
That's
love
awesome.
not clean, not dirty.
I love that. And while we're talking about that, I have a couple comments about laundry.
Yes.
That's something that I think is a huge struggle for a lot of people. And I, often will enter a home, and especially professional working moms, they are just overwhelmed by the quantity of laundry. And my number one thing about that is, first of all, the very best time to declutter the closet is when you're overwhelmed with laundry, because you can go to your kid's closet, your closet, wherever it might be. What's still there probably is a good place to start decluttering.
Right.
Because the edits are pretty quick. When you go through, there was some reason none of those items were chosen and they're still there last. Maybe it's seasonal, that's fine. But also, a lot of times they don't fit, especially with kids. They don't fit, they don't like them, this. So that's the very best time to hit it. So once you've kind of edited that space in that moment, then doing the laundry and coming back to everything once you've got it organized and in its space, and probably doing another round at that point, because laundry is a funny thing. The more clothing you have, the more laundry you have. And there's always that 80-20 principle that, we wear 20% of what we have. I find that to be true if I have a ton of clothing or very little clothing. I still am only wearing 20% of it. So I think my big tip for moms overwhelmed with laundry is your kids don't need so many clothes. You don't need so many clothes. And then the laundry isn't as much of a burden because you can do it in smaller batches. There's less to do. And just any project we have, when it becomes overwhelming and so much, we don't want to do it. But if the laundry can be these bite-sized chunks that are just regularly maintained, and have the kids do their own laundry as early as possible, but the earlier you can start that and the fewer clothes that everyone has to manage, the easier it is for everyone. But I see all the time the opposite. So there aren't any clean clothes, nothing's ready. My son does it. He'll come and say, "Mom, I need new sweatshirt or something." And I'm like, "What? Oh, time to do your laundry." That's what time it is. It's not time for shopping. It's time to do laundry. But learning that early so that it doesn't become this overwhelming burden to maintain.
For sure. What about in a closet space? Do you have preferences over hanging versus folded clothes? When I design a closet for a person, a couple, a family, whatever that looks like, we get to custom design it. So the client can then choose what they want to hang and what they want to fold and vice versa. I really find oftentimes we have had a closet in the past that we were stuck doing things a certain way. So we think that's the way it needs to be done, when that's not really how we want to do it. What are your thoughts on folding versus hanging and kind of the right way to go about that?
I think it depends on how visual someone is. So for myself, almost everything I own is hanging, because that way in a very quick second, I can just scan all of my options at once. So my t-shirts hang, my jeans, my leggings, all of it, it's hanging. Except sweaters. Sweaters almost always need to be folded. So that is the one thing that I will always recommend folding. And then beyond that, I think it just depends on the person and it depends on the space. Like, do they have a closet that has been designed and has spaces for folded things, or a dresser that lends itself well to the folding? One thing I will say though about like say a client does want all of their t-shirts folded or their jeans folded in a dresser. The Marie Kondo file folding strategy, love it. Because then you can see all of the options and pull one out. But the traditional style of the stacked t-shirts, and then we all know you pull the one out at the bottom, everything up from there is messed up. And then you've already made a mess of everything and it can be hard to maintain it going forward. So
I definitely think that Marie Kondo folding, that's how my husband folds t-shirts in a drawer. I don't like t-shirts in a drawer, which if you stack t-shirts in a drawer folded the traditional way, you can't see what's on the bottom of it. So it makes no sense to me. But I like things, you talked about being visual, I like them stacked so I can see the slivers on the shelf. And I maybe have a magic system, but I can stick my hand in there, pull one out, put it down, and I've managed to not mess up the pile. So I've got that system worked. Maybe I spent enough time working in retail when I was, in my earlier career, but I managed to do that. But here's the great thing about it is we can, as people, we can pick whichever of those methods work for us.
right.
And do it in the way that works. And I think so many times we see things, we think we need to do it a certain way. And the Marie Kondo thing for me, it would never be perfect enough. So I'd be frustrated with it. And so I would get mad at it. And as from a Marie Kondo standpoint, it wouldn't spark joy for me. So I would get mad at it and I'd throw out all the t-shirts. And I don't really want to throw out all the t-shirts.
No. And here's a question for you, Tia. So when you're talking about those being folded, is that on a closet system that you've installed so it's more eye level or close to that?
So shelves are important to me. I like to fold a lot of things in my closet. So my shelves are like center point on my closet wall, and it goes from basically the floor to the top. I mean, all the way. So and I section them out. There's a section where I stack shorts and a section where I stack skirts and a section where I stack long pants and short pants and all these different categories. So everything's organized in there. And then I have, this much room for like each category. And it works for me. It's a way that I can keep track of what I have, and I can step back and at a quick glance see what's there. And for some people that might be decision fatigue. For me, being a designer, being a creative person, I want to have lots of fun, colorful options at my fingertips, so I can grab those things. So it doesn't feel like decision fatigue to me as much as it's like a beautiful menu at a restaurant and I get to pick what I want for the day.
I love that. I absolutely love that. And I think it makes a huge difference having those shelves in the closet, because that traditional stack in a drawer is really tough and you don't get that benefit of the visual piece of it. So yeah, those shelves are awesome. And in that case, I absolutely think folding is a great thing. And the traditional fold works there. So
it works for me well. But that's what I love about what I get to do is I get to work with people. I get to listen to what their needs are, what they do. I was actually helping some clients talking about designing a closet, and he just happened to mention that he, before COVID, traveled every week for business. So we're talking about what needs to go in his closet. And then I bring up, do you need a place to store your suitcase that you can pack every week when you start traveling again? And he's like, I never thought of that. And I'm like, okay, well, I'm here to help you design a space that's going to help you live your best life and make time for what matters most.
I love it. That's awesome, awesome, awesome. Amazing.
Well, Keli, it is time for us to wrap up today. Any last parting words that you would like to share? We'll be back next month. We'll have a new topic, some fun things to talk about. But in the meantime, anything you'd like to share before we wrap for today?
No, just an encouragement to everyone to just really get present with what are your needs right now and creating spaces that help you align your vision and your reality, helping you just move forward. We have to decide right now as COVID comes to an end, what's worth keeping from before and what's not. We were too busy and too stressed out as it was. So that that matters in our closets and in our homes and all these systems that we set up to support us to do what we're meant to do. So just an encouragement to really be present about that and figure out what that looks like now.
Well, Kelly, it's been such a pleasure to talk today,
Yes.
to get to know you a little bit more. And Kelly and I will be meeting this month. We'll come up with a great new topic, and we'll be back next month to share some more great organizing suggestions and advice.
Thank you so much, Tia.
Yes, guys, have a great month, and we'll see you first Wednesday of, this is June, first Wednesday of July. We'll be back with some more tips.
Awesome.
Bye, guys.
Bye-bye.